material desires, they surrender to demigod, and in this way follow particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. On 7th chapter 21st verse. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktah shraddhayarchitumicchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tameva vitadhamyaham. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktah shraddhayarchitumicchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tameva vitadhamyaham. Yo yo yam yam, whoever, whichever, tanum, whichever form of a demigod he wishes, bhaktaha, shraddhayaha, architum, he is worshipping with faith, ichhati, tasya tasya chalam shraddham, I steady his faith in that particular form of demigod. Tameva vidhamyaham, actually I give everything. It seems that he is getting through that particular demigod. That is what Krishna gives. Krishna gives that faith in that particular demigod. He knows worshipping demigod is, and that too for the material desires, are the work of those whose intelligence are stolen. But still Krishna, what is he doing? He is residing in everyone's heart as super soul. And he knows the desire of that particular person, that he has faith in that particular form of a demigod. Then Krishna makes this faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. That is how Krishna allows. That is the work of a father. Father doesn't stop his children's independence. 346 page. So a father allows a child to be independent. Now here, this person, his faith is not in Krishna. His faith is there in that particular demigod. Still Krishna doesn't mind. That is why he's Supreme Father. He doesn't come in between anything. Instead, he gives all the benediction through that particular demigod, making his faith in that particular demigod, making his faith steady in that particular demigod. Why? Because Krishna wants to be free from all those who are having material desires. Krishna wants only pure devotees. He is not interested in those people who are like into material desires, asking material desires. That is why he wants to get rid of them. So what he does, he makes that faith so steady. Like many have faith in Ganapati, many have faith in Durga. But Krishna purposely gives all the benefits through Ganapati, if he is a Ganapati worshipper. So his faith in Ganesha increases more. But actually, who is giving? It is Krishna who is giving. When somebody is a worshipper of Kali, then everything through Kali. Somebody is worshipper of Shani God, then everything, so get it through him. If somebody worships Hanuman, then he feels, oh, everything is got by Hanuman. No, Hanuman gives bhakti. Material desires, actually demigods are not interested in giving any material desires. And Hanuman doesn't come in the category of a demigod. But sometimes people ask material desires to Hanuman, forgetting that he's a pure devotee of Krishna. So you ask bhakti, Hanuman will give bhakti. So in this way, the faith in a particular demigod is increased by Krishna alone. Okay, Mayur Prabhu, read.
Yo yo yan yan tanu bhaktaha shraddhaya archita tumicchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidhamyaham. Meaning, I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Purport. God has given independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment and wants very sincerely to have such facilities from material demigods, the Supreme God as Super Soul in everyone's hearts understands and gives facilities to such persons. As the Supreme Father of all living entities, He does not interfere with the independence, but gives all facilities so that they can fulfill their material desires. Some may ask why the all powerful God gives facilities to the living entities for enjoying his material world, this material world, and so lets him fall into the trap of the illusory energy. The answer is that if the Supreme Lord as Super Soul does not give such facilities, then there is no meaning to independence. Therefore, he gives everyone full independence, whatever one likes. But his ultimate instruction we find in the Bhagavad Gita, one should give up all other engagements and fully surrender unto him. That will make man happy. Both the living entity and the demigods are subordinate to the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the living entity cannot worship the demigod by his own desire, nor can the demigod bestow any benediction without the supreme will. As it is said, not a blade of grass moves without the will of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, persons who are distressed in the material world go to the demigods, as they are advised in the Vedic literature. A person wanting some particular thing may worship such and such a demigod. For example, a deceased person is recommended to worship the sun god. A person wanting education may worship the goddess of learning, Saraswati. And a person wanting a beautiful wife may worship the goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. In this way, there are recommendations in the Shastras, there is Vedic scriptures for different modes of worship of different demigods. And because a particular living entity wants to enjoy a particular material facility, the Lord inspires him with a strong desire to achieve that benediction from that particular demigod. And so he successfully receives the benediction. The particular mode of devotional attitude of the living entity toward a particular type of demigod is also arranged by the Supreme Lord. The demigods cannot infuse the living entities with such an affinity, but because he is the Supreme Lord or the Super Soul who is present in the hearts of all living entities, Krishna gives impetus to man to worship certain demigods. The demigods are actually living parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they have no independence. In the Vedic literature, it is stated the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul is also present within the heart of the demigod. Therefore, he arranges through the demigod to fulfill the desire of the living entity. But both the demigod and the living entity are dependent on the supreme will. They are not independent. Hare Krishna.
So both the demigod and the living entity, they are dependent on the supreme will. Even if you see in the third chapter, Krishna says, I created the whole. This whole creation happens because of me. I created a set of demigods. I created the set of men to fulfill their material desires. They have the set of demigods. We have studied this in the first part. So they are interdependent on each other. They are interdependent. That is what is clear. They are not independent. They are dependent on the supreme will. Krishna gives the ability to perform the sacrifice. And whatever sacrifice is there, it is given in the Vedas. Remember, in the first section you had this. The demigods are dependent on the yajnas. Yajnas are dependent on the Vedas. And if yajna is not performed, then the demigods cannot be satisfied. So, but then everybody is dependent on whom? On the sanction of the supreme will. Next. Sataya shataya yuktas tasyaradhana nihate labati cha tatha kaman mayyeva vitan hitan. Sataya shataya yuktas. So in this way he is equipped with faith. Tasyaradhana nihate. In this way he is doing aradhana to that particular demigod. Labate cha tatha kaman. So he obtains the desires, whatever he has asked. Mayyeva vihitan hitan. But in actuality, Krishna says, it is I who has given. It's actually Krishna who fulfills the desire. People think I'm asking to Ganapati, I'm asking to Ganesha, I'm asking to Durga, I'm asking to Lord Shiva. It is Krishna who fulfills all the desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Then why a person should go to a demigod? To ask bhakti. Simple. You go and ask bhakti to demigod. What dedication you have for Krishna, the same dedication that it come to me. They're taking care of Krishna's administration. So if you really want to ask something to a demigod, what you should ask? You should ask bhakti. If you ask Krishna, they're very much ready to give their Aradhya Bhagavan to you. But any material desire, we feel that they are giving. It's actually Krishna who gives that material desire. Okay, Jai Shri Dev.
Hare
Read.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sataya Sraddhaya Yukta Sasyaradhanamihate Labhate Chatata Kaman Mayeva Vihitan Hitan. Translation. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actually, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Purport. The demigods cannot award benediction to their devotees without the permission of Supreme Lord. The living entity may forget that everything is the property of the Supreme Lord, but the demigod do not forget. So the worship of demigods, achievements of desired results are due not to the demigods, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by arranging. The less intelligent living entity does not know this, and therefore he foolishly goes to the demigods for some benefit. But the pure devotee, when in need of something, prays only to the Supreme Lord, asking for material benefit. However, is not a sign of a pure devotee. A living entity goes to the demigods usually because he is mad to fulfill his lust. This happens when something under is desired by the living entity and the Lord himself does not fulfill the desire. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one of the worships of Supreme Lord and at the same time desires material enjoyment is contradictory in his desires. Devotional services to the Supreme Lord and the worship of a demigod cannot be on the same platform because worship of a demigod is material and devotional service to the Supreme Lord is completely spiritual. For the living entity who desires to return to Godhead, material desires are impediment. A pure devotee of the Lord is therefore not awarded the material benefits desired by less intelligent living entities, who therefore performer prefer to worship demigods of the material world rather than engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
So material people, what they like to do? They like to worship the demigods for some material gains, but they don't want to worship, they don't want to do any devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Very surprisingly, it also happened. One of our devotee, he is initiated devotee, and just now he got initiation, like last year. Just see, material desires can go to what extent? We may say it is spiritual, but it was completely material. The desire to preach, it's nice. The desire to preach is very good. But when you should not hanker for it. It comes, comes. Doesn't come, doesn't come. He said, if it doesn't come, I'll commit suicide. I said, why? Why should commit suicide? Or I'll leave ISKCON. I said, is it? I will leave you, I'll leave ISKCON, I will commit suicide if I don't get preaching opportunity.
Hare
I said, first person to preach is yourself. Whom we are preaching? We are preaching to oneself. So just because some Shastric knowledge is there, that doesn't mean that I should get Gaddi, I should get Vyasasana. Even if I don't get also, I should know to transform myself. So this desire, no, I want to do something for Prabhupada. I said, chant 16 rounds. It itself is everything to Prabhupada. No, I have not done Loka Kalyan. I said, first you do your Kalyan, then Loka Kalyan comes. You yourself are in depression, what you can do? Loka Kalyan. Loka Kalyan only, you can give what you have. If you have frustration, you give frustration. If I want some Belpuri from you, you should have Belpuri, then only you can give me. So if you are not experiencing bliss in devotional service, then you'll give what will teach others. So just see, these material desires can go to what extent a person may talk like this. You cannot demand. If comes, comes. Because preaching is Vyasa's anugraha. If Vyasadeva anugraha is there, automatically knowledge appears. Knowledge comes. So it comes. You can preach even to a nearest person. You don't have to have a big pandal program to have preaching. You can preach even to your nearest person. So anyhow, so these material desires can go to any extent. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedasam devan devayacho yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedasam devan devayacho yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. My devotees will come back to me, Krishna says. Madbhaktaha yanti mam api. They will come back to me, Madbhaktaha. Devayan devayacho yanti. Whoever are worshippers of the demigods, they'll go to that particular demigod. Devan. Devayachaha. Devan. Yanti means they'll go. Now, Antavattu phalam tesham. Whatever phala or fruit a demigod gives, it has an end. It is limited and temporary. Only men whose intelligence is small, alpamedasam, of those of small intelligence, they only will go to the demigod. And demigods' benedictions are just limited and temporary. So whatever benefits they are giving, that is only for some time. That is why intelligent person, they don't want such benefit. They want permanent benefit. They don't want some benefit which is only temporary. So it's a very important one. They don't want a temporary benefit. So Alpamedasa means less intelligent person. Where they go to the demigods. So they will go to the demigod planet. My devotees will come back to me, Krishna says. Okay, Aditya, read.
Hare Krishna. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatya alpamedasam devan yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Translation: Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotee ultimately reach my supreme planet. Purport. Some commentators on the Bhagavad Gita say that one who worships the demigod can reach the Supreme Lord, but here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated. Just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attend that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is denied here, for it is clearly stated that the worshippers of the demigods go to the different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the Supreme Planet of the Personality of Godhead. Here, the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they don't know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This isn't very sanguine. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or eyes? They do not know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord. And in their ignorance, they believe that each and every demigod is a separate god and a competitor of the Supreme Lord. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but ordinary living entities are also. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the Brahmanas are the heads of the Supreme Lord, the Kshatriyas are his arms, the Vaishyas are his waist, the Shudras are his legs, and all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and he himself are parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destination the devotee reaches. The result achieved by the demigods' benediction are perishable because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore, it is clearly stated in this verse that all results achieved by worshipping demigods are perishable, and therefore such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness in devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence that is full of knowledge. His achievement and those of the common worshipper of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited, His favor is unlimited, His mercy is unlimited. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon His pure devotee is unlimited. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So mercy of the Supreme Lord onto the pure devotees is unlimited. The benediction given by the demigods are limited. The mercy of the Lord is unlimited. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhaya param bhavamajananto mamavyayam uttamam. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhaya mam bhavamajananto mamavyayam uttamam. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam. So, avyaktam means non-manifested. Vyaktam means personality. Apannam, achieved. Manyante, think. Mam, me. Abuddhaya, less intelligent people. So, what do the less intelligent people think about? They don't know Krishna perfectly. So, what they think? That Krishna was impersonal before. And now, he is personally present. Vyaktim, he has personality. Now he has personality. Before, he is just impersonal Brahman. But now he has personality. Why they think like this? Because they are abuddhaya. They are having less intelligence. So because of that, mama avyayam, ajanantaha. They do not know Krishna's imperishable nature, the higher nature, which is imperishable, and anuttamam, which is the finest or which is the supreme. Because of their less intelligence, they do not know Krishna's supreme and imperishable nature. For them, Lord is impersonal before, and now he comes with a personal form. He comes and assumes a personality, not comes with a personal form. He is impersonal. He comes and assumes the personality. That means the personality, what they are seeing as Krishna, for them, this is only a product of Maya. It's just a product of Maya. Okay. Shilpa, read.
Hare Krishna. Tam yapannam manyante mama buddhayah param bhavam ajananto mama vyayam manattamam.
Mama
Meaning,
vyayama. Two years is that. Yama.
Yeah.
Mam avyayam. Mama avyayama uttamam.
mama vyayam nuttamam.
Anuttamam.
Anuttamam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. Purport. Those who are worshippers of demigods have been described as less intelligent persons, and here the impersonalists are similarly described. Lord Krishna in his personal form is here speaking before Arjuna, and still due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form. Yamunacharya, a great devotee of the Lord, is the in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya, has written a very appropriate verse in this connection. He
This verse I'll
says,
read. Tvama
yes,
Shila Rupaha Charitaha Parama Prakarsitaha Tat Satvena Satvikataya Pravalascha Shastraihi Prakhayat Daiva Paramantha Dividam Mataischa Naivasura Prakrutyaha Prabhavanti Buddhum. So Vyasa and Narada, my dear Lord, devotees like Vyasa and Narada know you to be the personality of God. By understanding different Vedic literatures, one can come to know your characteristics. Tvam Shila Rupa Charitaha Parama Prakrushtayi. So one can, through the different Vedic literatures, one can know your characteristics, your form, your activities, and one can understand that you are the Supreme Personality of God. But those who are in the mode of passion, ignorance, the laymen, the non-devotees, cannot understand you. And then they are unable to understand you. However, experts, non-devotees be in Vedanta and Upanishad and other Vedic literatures, it is not possible for them to understand the personality of God. Satvena Satvikatayaha Prabalascha Shastri. They understand only because of their Satoguna. Prakyata Daiva Paramartha Vidam Mataschaha Naivasura Prakritehi Prabhavanti Buddhi. Because he has asuric tendency, he doesn't want to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. That is why he can never understand the position of the Supreme Lord. Okay? Read from Brahma Samhita.
in the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by study of the Vedanta literature. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord can the personality of the Supreme be known. Therefore, in this verse, it is clearly stated that not only are the worshippers less intelligent, but those non-devotees who are engaged in Vedanta and speculation on Vedic without any tinge of true Krishna consciousness are also intelligent. And for them, it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. Persons who are under the impression that the absolute truth is impersonal are described as abuddhaya, which means those who do not know the ultimate feature of the absolute truth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that supreme realization begins from the impersonal Brahman and then rises to the localized supersoul. But the ultimate word in the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead. Modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they do not even follow their great predecessor, Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Impersonalists, therefore, not knowing the supreme truth, think Krishna to be the only son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or a prince, or a powerful living entity. This is also condemned in the Bhagavad Gita, 9.11. Avajananti mam mudha manushim
Manushim Tanumashritam.
tanumashritam. Who regard me as an ordinary person.
Avajananti Mamudha Manushim Tanumashritam. And appear like a human, Avajananti Mamudha. The Mudas can never understand me. So this 10.14.29 also it has been said, nobody can understand Krishna without rendering devotional service. Only by Sevon Mukhahi Jivado Swayameva Spurtira. Without developing Krishna consciousness, one can never understand Krishna. This verse is very powerful verse, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 29th verse. अथापि ते देवपदां प्रसत्या प्रसादलेशानुगृहीता एव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवन् महिम्नो न चान्य एकोऽपि चिरं विचिन्वन् अथापि ते देवपदाम्बुजत्या प्रसादलेशानुगृहीता एव हि. Just by a slight trace of the mercy of the Lord, it is very easy to understand His greatness. Janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno. Mahimno means His greatness. Na chanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. It is not so easy to understand Krishna, even if he has studied the Vedas for a long time. It is not so easy to understand Krishna. Okay, read from there. One cannot understand the Supreme. Read, Shilpa.
Yes, one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna or his form, quality, or name simply by mental speculation or by discussing Vedic literature. One must understand him by devotional service. When one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, beginning by chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, then only can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-devotee impersonalists think that Krishna has a body made of this material nature and that all his activities, his form, and everything are Maya. These impersonalists are known as Mayavadis. They do not know the ultimate truth. The 20th verse clearly states, Kama.
Kame se sirta jnana. Just now we did. Kame se sirta jnana prapadyante anya devataha. Whose intelligence is stolen, they worship the different demigods. Okay, read.
Those who are blinded by lusty desires surrender unto the different demigods. It is accepted that besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are demigods who have their different planets, and the Lord also has a planet. As stated in the 23rd verse, Devan Deva Yajo Yanti, Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. The worshippers of the demigods go to the different planets of the demigods, and those who are devotees of Lord Krishna go to the Krishna Loka planet. Although this is clearly stated, the foolish impersonalists still maintain that the Lord is formless and that these forms are impositions. From the study of the Gita, does it appear that the demigods and their abodes are impersonal? Clearly, neither the nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has his own planet, and the demigods have theirs. Therefore, the monastic contention that the ultimate truth is formless and that form is imposed does not hold true. It is clearly here that it is not imposed. It is clearly stated here that this is not imposed. From the Bhagavad Gita, we can clearly understand that the forms of the demigods and the form of the Supreme Lord are simultaneously existing, and that Lord Krishna is Sachidananda, eternal blissful knowledge. The Vedic literature confirms that the Supreme Absolute Truth is knowledge and blissful pleasure. Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Brahma Aranyaka Upanishad 3.9.28. And that he is the reservoir of unlimited auspicious qualities. Ananta Kalyana Gunatmako So. Gunatmako So. And in the Gita, the Lord says that although he is Aja, he still appears. These are the facts that we should understand from the Bhagavad Gita. We cannot understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be impersonal. The imposition theory of the impersonalist monist is false as far as the statements of the Gita are concerned. It is clear herein that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Lord Krishna, has both form and personality. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Show your version of Bhagavad Gita. Same one, Shilpa. Show from which book you are reading.
Mataji, this is an app actually.
Yeah, that is why there are certain lines which is not there. You saw that?
No,
You-
this is an
You have
application.
this book with you. You should have this book while reading. Don't read from the app. Read from the book because there are certain things I could not find here. Did you find the same problem, Aditya?
Yes, Mataji.
Because you quoted from one verse that is not here. Anandamaya Bhyasa, that also you did not read. So the version is something different. You take from the book, don't read from the app. Okay, take out the book and read. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavataha मूढ़ोऽयं न विजानाति लोको माम् अजमव्ययम् नाहं प्रकाश सर्वस्य मूढ़ो योगमाया समावतः मूढ़ोऽयं न विजानाति लोको माम् अजमव्ययम्. So naham prakasha sarvasya. I do not manifest to the fools or unintelligent people. So for them, yogamaya samavataha. I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they cannot understand me. They are fools. Mudhoyam nabijanati loko mam ajavavyam. I'm unborn. I'm ajaha. I'm avyayam. They cannot understand. They cannot understand my wonderful form. What they cannot understand? They cannot understand my form. They cannot understand my dealings with the devotees. Even to Brahma, the dealings of the Vrajavasis with Krishna, that ultimate Madhurya Prema, the ultimate sweetness of Krishna in Vraja is not revealed to Brahma also. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muyyanti Yat Surayah. Even to Brahma, Krishna does not reveal everything. That is why Brahma was completely a bewilderment. He was completely bewildered. How the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sitting with all the Gopas and eating very nicely, sharing each other's food, sometimes putting in the mouth of Krishna, removing from the mouth of Krishna. So such sweet dealings, of Krishna with the Vrajavasis is not understood even by the demigods. Here about whom has been spoken, Loko Mam Ajamavyam, a common man who is much interested in the material desires. Krishna says he can never understand me because Yoga Maya Samavataha. I cover his knowledge by my internal potency. Therefore, they do not know that I am Ajaha and at the same time Avyayam, infallible. Okay, Aruna Upadhyay, read.
Hare Krishna. Naham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samavitah mudhoyam navijanati loko mamjam vyayam.
Loko Mam
I am
Ajam
never
Avyayam, Ajam Avyayam.
loko mam ajavyayam.
Ajam Avyayam.
Ajam avyayam.
Hmm.
And never manifested to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. Perfect. It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, they know how can it be said that he is not manifested to everyone. But actually, he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him to be a supreme personality of Godhead. In this assembly of Kurus, when Shishupala spoke against Krishna being elected president of the assembly. Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be supreme god. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that but for his pure devotee, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was he was manifest only to his devotee as the reservoir of all pleasures, but to others, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. In the prayers of Kunti in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.19, it is said that the Lord is covered by curtain of Yoga Maya and thus
Maya
ordinary
Javanikachannam Agyadoshayamabhyam. The Lakshase Muda Dusha Lato Natyo Dharo Yakha. You're coming like an artist and you have covered the eyes of the materialistic people. Maya Javanikachannam Agyadhukshayam Abhyayam. So Agyaniya, those who are not intelligent, they cannot understand the supreme nature of the Lord. Maya Javanikachannam Agyadhukshayam Abhyayam Na Lakshase Mudadusha. Mudas can never understand you. Na Lakshase Mudadusha. Nato Natyo Dhara Yatha. Like an artist cannot be recognized by his own family member. Especially you have the Kerala dance. And their own family members cannot understand. The big eyes and all. Then, in the same way, very difficult to know you, O Lord. Then here another verse has been put in from the Ishopanishad. Hiranmayena Patrena Satya Sahapitam Mukham Taktam Pushna Pavanam Satadharmaya Drishti. O Lord, remove all your coverings. So much of effulgence. I'm not able to see your face, O Lord. Hiranmayena Patrena Satya Sahapitam Mukham. So we want to see your lotus face. Taktam Pushna Pavanam Satadharmaya Drishti. You just remove all your coverings first. You remove all your effulgence. We want to see you. Okay. Read the translation. Oh my Lord.
Oh my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yogamaya. The Brahma Jyoti is Brahma Jyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your such Chit Ananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge is covered by the internal potency of the Brahma Jyoti. And the less intelligent impersonalist cannot see the Supreme on this account. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.7, there is the prayer by Brahma. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastime in this world. You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learn the scientists and learn the scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world or even the planets, but still they are unable to calculate. They are unable to calculate your energy and potency. Although you are present before them, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn but also avyaya, in, inexhaustible. His eternal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energy are all inexhaustible. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So any doubts can ask. We'll try to complete this chapter on Friday. Yes, any doubts? No doubts?
Hare Krishna Mataji. In verse number 21, there was maybe I didn't understand it properly, but in the purport there was this contradiction or apparent contradiction where somewhere it is mentioned that the living entity is independent, and at the end it was mentioned that we are all dependent on the Lord. So how do we understand that, Mataji?
Our independence is also dependent on Lord. That is why independence should be utilized in the service of God. Like you're independent on your nation is independent. At the same time, you're dependent on the laws of the nation. Then you're truly independent. If you violate the laws, You are not independent. Okay. Anyone else?
If any person who is attracted to a demigod or any material things, then demigod bestow their mercy by showing the way to Lord Krishna.
Why? They don't have any other work or what? If you want material benefit, they'll give material benefit only, no?
But they are Vaishnavas, na, so they can show their mercy.
Vaishnavas will show mercy on to those people who are really eager to know Krishna. Why they should show mercy to those who don't want Krishna?
But they are ignorant, na.
They have given the task. If anyone wants material desires, you give them material desires. If somebody is coming and asking Krishna, give Krishna. On your own, they will not give. Why Krishna is not so cheap. Krishna is not so cheap to give. Only if a person asks, then he gets. That is why even if you don't know anything about Krishna, just if you go and ask demigod, please give me bhakti. Bhakti implies to Krishna. Automatically, though you have not asked Krishna, they will give you Krishna because you asked bhakti. And you referred bhakti to be like worshipping them to be bhakti. But demigods very well know bhakti belongs to Bhagwan and Bhakta. Like in your house, sweeper comes, jhaduwala comes, your maid servant comes. You give Krishna to them. If they ask, you give. They are doing their work. They are asking for your salary, then you give salary. They are asking bonus, you give bonus. Though you're also a Vaishnava, you will not give if you are not asked for. But if they come and tell, oh, please teach me something about Bhagavad Gita, you'll be very eager to teach. Okay. Anyone else? We'll stop here. One second. Vaishnav